1 square mile of magnificence. Today on Delmarva Life, we explore Rehoboth Beach.
I grew up here. I loved growing up here. I can't think of a better place to bring a family.
That's what you'll find in Rehoboth Beach, a focus on family.
And that's pretty much the way the community is with everybody. I mean, we're one big family.
One big family that cares about those who come calling. It's evident by what they do.
We hand cut our own potatoes to make fries every day. So we do things the long way, the hard way.
Hard work that has turned into a way of life.
There's never a day I regret the path I chose.
And for some, those days have turned into decades.
They needed some extra money, so he actually started selling pizzas on Friday night in 1970 out of his house.
We're sharing stories of success that have stood the test of time.
And arena's at 30 years old now. We get to carve out a long piece of that history.
You're watching Delmarva Life's small town series, Rehoboth Beach. Well, I'm hungry now.
Yeah, no kidding.
Did you see all that food?
Let's eat.
All the food you can find in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, which, by the way, is today's small town series. Welcome.
Thank you.
Did you have a good holiday?
It was a wonderful holiday. Yours?
It was wonderful as well.
Terrific.
Yeah, yeah. But we want to talk about a place that a lot of people like to spend holiday. And of course is Rehoboth Beach. And we're going to start off with a little bit of history. You know, the earliest settlers to what is now Rehoboth Beach were Native Americans. Now, Jimmy, we're going to have a little fun here. See how much you know about
Oh, I could probably answer that right off the bat.
Beach.
Oh, we doing a pop quiz?
Pop quiz!
Yes!
Pop quiz! All
So
right.
it's either true
or
it's
false. Okay, so we talked about the Native Americans who settled in the Rehoboth Beach area. True or false? They traveled to the beach in the summer months to enjoy cool breezes and seafood.
The natives.
The natives.
The natives traveled to, false.
You're wrong.
Oh!
Yeah,
Really?
no, yeah, they vacationed there too.
How about that?
Some things just never change.
Who'd have thunk? In the mid to late 1600s, it is said that English and Dutch settlers began to farm the land. In 1873, Reverend Robert W. Todd of St. Paul's Methodist Episcopal Church in Wilmington started the Rehoboth Camp Meeting Association on 400 acres purchased from local farmers. The grounds laid out in a fan-shaped design with wide streets.
Yeah, and that design remains largely intact today. Now, in 1891, Delaware's General Assembly established a municipality for the territory, naming it Henlopen City. In 1893, it was renamed Rehoboth Beach after the Rehoboth Bay, which is behind it. By the way, Rehoboth means broad spaces in Hebrew. It's actually mentioned in the Old Testament 3 times.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the Rehoboth Beach Boardwalk, which we all know and love, was originally built in 1873, and it ran the full length of the ocean front. You can see there, people enjoying it. Storms have changed the configuration of the boardwalk over the years. So, Jimmy, today, true or false, the boardwalk is a half-mile long.
Half mile, I'd say that's true.
Oh, Jimmy.
Again?
Again.
Oh, my goodness.
That is false. It is actually 1 mile long. Yeah. You want to talk some transportation?
Let's talk transportation.
Let's talk transportation. In 1878, the railroad came to Rehoboth Beach. And here's another true or false question. You're going to get this one. You got this one. The Junction and Breakwater Railroad constructed a line from Georgetown to Rehoboth Beach.
I would say absolutely true. Or maybe false.
You're right, it's false. It actually came from the south, from Lewis.
Now, I do know that it did run down the center of today's Rehoboth Avenue. The arrival of the railroad allowed visitors to come in from northern Delaware as well as Pennsylvania. It was the beginning of Rehoboth Beach as a tourist destination. As a matter of fact, the original Henlopen Hotel was built a year later in 1879.
And then fast forward to 1925, a paved highway was built by the state between Georgetown and Rehoboth Beach. The project included a drawbridge across the canal. This helped bring in travelers from the west and the metropolitan areas west of the bay. Soon, legislators, diplomats, government employees from Washington, D.C., and their families started vacationing in Rehoboth Beach. True or false, Jimmy?
I got this.
You got this one. Rehoboth Beach became known as the nation's summer capital.
I got to get one sooner or later. The tourist industry remained strong, but a lingering nor'easter changed the entire coast in 1962.
True or false? That storm was named the Ash Wednesday storm. True, you're absolutely right. But the storm lasted more than just one day. The 3-day storm pounded the coast from March 6th through the 8th. The Rehoboth Beach Boardwalk took the brunt of the storm as waves and storm surge blasted it for 3 days.
Several Rehoboth Beach landmarks were destroyed. You can see parts of the Henlopen Hotel were wiped away.
Isn't that amazing? Wow. You know, the nor'easter actually hit on March 6th, 9 days before a Pennsylvania couple was scheduled to sign the papers to purchase what is now Funland.
And despite the damage, the sale went through. Alan and Don Fashnacht, along with their wives, eventually opened Funland. Take a look at these pictures from a book called Land of Fun by Chris Lindsley. The Fashnacht family still owns the boardwalk attraction, and at age 90, Alan still works there, as do his children and grandchildren.
I think there's like 4 generations that have worked there.
Oh my
Isn't that
goodness.
amazing? Time for another question, Jimmy. True or false, ride tickets are only $1 each? Nope, that's false. They're actually 30 cents each.
Really?
Yeah, they were raised from 10 cents each about 25 years ago.
How about that?
Yeah.
You can't beat that.
No, you can't. Well, the history lesson continues in today's Small Town series, Rehoboth Beach.
Now, up next, our focus is going to turn to the behemoth of a brewery that's internationally known. You know it as Dogfish Head. You are probably familiar with the solid presence in Milton, but do you remember the days when Dogfish Head was just getting started? You'll hear why Rehoboth is the foundation of the booming business.
Another spot that's been thriving for decades is Arena's Deli and Bar. If you've had the pleasure of stopping by, well, you get it. You understand why people keep coming back. If you haven't, we'll show you a few reasons why you'll want to mark this place on the map.
And I started this thing,
Yep.
in 1974, and it just took off.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how much, it's really kind of make me kind of a little bit popular, we'll say.
Kind of little bit. Everyone knows when you go to Rehoboth, you've got to stop by Nicola Pizza for a Nicoboli. But do you know how this favorite food even came to be? That's a story that's going to leave you with goosebumps, and we're going to share it with you.
Rehoboth really is like a small slice of paradise, but if you've got the urge to explore, we'll meet a team that can take you from the Sussex County town to anywhere around the world.
It is just about time to get going on our adventure to Rehoboth Beach. This small town series kicks into high gear next.
Delmarva Life is brought to you by Peninsula Regional Medical Center, honored to serve the entire Delmarva Peninsula since 1897. The law offices of Tunnel and Razor, Spicer Brothers Construction, Gateway Subaru, and A&A Companies.
If you live in Rehoboth or even vacation there, what does the city mean to you? Perhaps it's a place for memories. Maybe it's simply home.
For what's now a well-known beer brand, it is the spot where it all began. Dogfish Head is a company that we have featured on this show over and over. As a matter of fact, we toured their brewery in our small town series featuring Milton. Did you know that Sam Caligione started in Rehoboth in 1995?
It was no more than a 10-gallon system at the beginning. And although Dogfish Head has found huge success nationwide, the company has always kept a presence in the city where they got their start. Here's Delmarva Life's Katie Zarilli.
What's now a nationally known and loved craft beer brand came from the humblest of beginnings in downtown Rehoboth Beach.
We were the smallest commercial brewery back in '95 when Sam opened the place, Sam and Mariah, on a 10-gallon system.
That was Dogfish Head Brewings and Eats. 2.5 decades later, the company's growth has been extraordinary, due in large part, perhaps, to its quest for uncommon yet delightful tastes.
We're on this journey that is guided by our own kind of wonder, our own sense of wonder in what beer can be. And so we're very thoughtfully adventurous in making new beer flavors and new beer experiences that, aren't weird for the sake of being weird. We take, historic references, we take stuff that we use in the kitchen every day and really thoughtfully apply those aromas and flavors and sensations to the already existing flavors, aromas, and sensations of beer. So it's really just an exploration of goodness.
Much of that exploration now takes place at Dogfish Head's main brewery in Milton, but Rehoboth will never run out of relevance.
Sam, our founder, says this is the soul of the company, and the brewery out in Milton is the heart of the company.
And that heart beats stronger than ever. A couple of years ago, Dogfish Head Brews and Eats was rebuilt on the parking lot of where the original 10-gallon brewery once stood.
It was bittersweet to see the old pub go away where everything started, but being on the same property is still pretty awesome.
And the new space is no doubt awesome for patrons, who get to sip their ales in a relaxed vibe, enjoy all kinds of live music, and chow down on delicious food from a wood-fired oven.
We've had our indulgence burger on the menu since, back in the day of the old pub, and it's something we're really proud of. We hand cut our own potatoes to make fries every day. So we do things the long way, the hard way, and we're really proud of it.
And right next door is another restaurant they own and are proud of, Chesapeake and Maine. An unlikely combination? Not really. Founder Sam Calagione spent summers in Maine, and in fact, that's where the Dogfish Head name comes from. So when they acquired this place more than 3 years ago, they got creative.
We thought, what kind of concept would complement our brew pub? And we said, we're right by the beach, we have this amazing seafood in our backyard, why not create a seafood restaurant that, is true to the brand of Dogfish, and this is kind of what we landed on.
Enjoy the nautical-themed paintings, try a crab cake Scotch egg, sample some spirits too. All right, you guys know that I am from Maine, and I'm very proud of my home state, so when I heard I could sample a Maine oyster here, I was jazzed. So here goes. It's perfect.
It's pretty cool when folks do come in and say, man, you guys, you really nailed the spirit of what you're going for from the Maine side of things. So it's, a little nod in the cap.
You could fit both spots into an evening out. A drink and apps at one, dinner at the other. And afterwards, swing into the Emporium for some swag. Celebrate the company that celebrates beer consumers of every different kind.
Clearly, people are coming to Dogfish Head for a fun and exciting beer experience, but there's also guests who come in who are looking for a beer experience that's a little bit less adventurous.
The story of the Shark and Shield is certainly one of dedication and innovation. That's why those who work here wear it proudly.
It's inspiring, and it's why us coworkers come to work every day and work our ass off for the brand that he's built, him and Mariah, and it's just inspiring.
A brand that started right here, and one that will undoubtedly keep on thriving right here and across the nation for years to come. Cheers.
Cheers to you, Katie. Dogfish Head beer is distributed in almost every state. And cheers to you.
And there you go. From one place of good ales and eats to another, a special year for Arena's Deli and Bar in Rehoboth Beach, turning the big 3-0. What started as one relaxed restaurant has now turned into 7 different spots across Delaware. The original location on Rehoboth Avenue, though, that's the special one.
And that's where we sent Delmarva Life's Katie Cirilli. She tells us the story of this space and why customers keep coming back.
It was 1990 when Arena's Deli first opened in Rehoboth Beach. It wasn't more than a spot to stop for a sandwich. Though it's developed and expanded since, its mellow atmosphere hasn't changed a bit.
Arena's fits that mold of you can just show up and it's fine. Like we're just very casual. You're gonna get a really local vibe, and that's just what it's about here at the beach.
Ramsey Schrader and his brother fell in love with the place fast. They'd been longtime customers when the restaurant went on the market in 2005, and so they chose to make it theirs.
I was 29, just about ready to turn 30, and didn't know what to do, but decided that we needed to buy this restaurant.
It was important for them to keep ownership local and build on something that was already becoming big.
Those guys had run it consistently for a long time, and it was it became the backbone of Rehoboth that it was. So when we were able to take over, my group purchased it, and we really intended to carry that legacy on and kind of steward that name that Arenas had built for so long.
That name now stretches across Delaware in the form of 7 different locations. Ramsey and the crew had no idea this is what it would turn into. It's pretty radical, sure, but it also comes with a responsibility.
It is very much a source of pride. It's fun, but there's a bit of a weight on top of that to know that you have to keep going because there's a ton of people that rely upon what you do.
Fortunately, with a menu that delivers, people can't resist coming in the door.
Death fries, obviously. Our Reuben is very well known. Our California Club is one of our best-selling sandwiches. Our Philly cheesesteak is another one that's a really popular item that we have. And also the hot tots.
When I heard about these death fries, I was extremely intrigued and a little nervous, as I imagine you might be too, but I can't not try them, so here goes. Those are to die for. Their menu stays as consistent as the setting sun, and they've got an impressive selection of craft beers to pair with any item you choose. Even though the menu isn't one to change, the restaurant itself on Rehoboth Ave has evolved over time.
It was easy to transition as Rehoboth changed into a family town, and with us with young families, it was easy to start to adapt and see where we needed to go.
No matter the renovations or how it transforms, this arena's right here will always be extra special because it was the first.
We love it here. In this little strip that we're in the village by the sea, everybody knows where it is, and it's just always been. Could never ever give up this location. It is the original.
A longtime landmark, if you will. A chapter in the engaging story of the city of Rehoboth Beach.
It will always be a beach town. And Arena's at 30 years old now. We get to carve out a long piece of that history, at least for a business. It would be great to see that keep going and for them to entertain a whole nother bunch of people for as long as we can. Sandy feet and all.
3 decades and counting, serving all things satisfying to those coming in from the sun and salt air.
And Ramsey adds, Arenas will be doing all kinds of concerts and specials to celebrate their 30th year. Congratulations to them.
Yeah, no kidding. Taking a look at Rehoboth Beach from Chopper 16. Whether you visit or live here, you can't deny this area is quickly expanding. And while that's good for business, what does that mean for real estate? Well, we sent 102.5 WBOC's Corey Phoebus to Mann & Sons Realtors to talk with the only realtor with a flat top and get the scoop.
You know, Rehoboth Beach has always been known as a place where you take your family and vacation. But if you're from Rehoboth Beach, it's a place where you can take that family and start a business. So I came to Rehoboth and I got to sit down with Bob McVeigh here. Bob, how are you?
Great to meet you, Corey.
So we are sitting in the offices of Mann & Sons Realtors. I want to know a little bit about the history because you guys are actually from here, right?
Well, we migrated to Rehoboth Beach in the early 60s, and we've been living here ever since. My mother started our company, or she got involved with real estate in 1978 and opened our company in 1984. Since then, we've had a couple of moves, but transitioned to the location where we are today on Coastal Highway. And myself, I joined the company in '94. My brother then joined us in 2001.
Now, the Coastal Highway location is not the only location, correct?
No, that's correct. We have 2 locations now. Currently, we're at 414 Rehoboth Avenue, 4th block or 5th block on Rehoboth Avenue, and the highway location.
Now, I'm really glad that I get to sit down with you because when normal people that are not involved in real estate hear real estate, I mean, that's when we all cringe, we're all scared, there's a lot of big words and numbers thrown around. So I wanted to talk to you about the 2020 market. You know, we're fresh into the new year, and I want to know what people can expect or look out for.
Well, I think really what's driving our market into 2020 is that we have a low inventory in our multiple listing service. I really believe that we're in a seller's market, or we've been in a seller's market, but it's even going to be more so into 2020. I think it's a great time for anyone who's looking to sell their home to get it on the market and list it for sale.
So if people have reservations, maybe they're scared, or maybe they've heard it's a seller's market or it's a buyer's market, or some of the terms that are thrown around that may scare people like me and everyone else away, are you somebody that we can call for some advice?
Oh, absolutely. I work with folks all the time that are interested in selling, but they're not sure. We take calls almost daily with concerned sellers and actually buyers also, because the inventory is low and you're working with supply and demand. Now the price value is going to increase on the properties that they're looking at.
Is it pretty exciting working in the Rehoboth area when it comes to real estate? I mean, houses are going up all over the place.
Absolutely. Eastern Sussex County is a great place to work. Although right now the area between 1 and 113 is the fastest growing area in the county.
I've noticed like little neighborhoods are popping up all over the place, and it's really exciting. It's an exciting time for little old Sussex County, but it's probably keeping you guys pretty busy.
Oh yes, we're always busy. We currently have about 43 agents, sales associates that work for us, and they're busy.
Now we're celebrating Rehoboth Beach. We are following people all around Rehoboth Beach. What does Rehoboth mean to you?
Well, it's my home.
Right.
I grew up here. I loved growing up here. I can't think of a better place to bring a family up, and I brought my family up here.
Little known fact, I actually grew up about 8 minutes that way, so I can attest to Bob saying how great of it is, a place to raise and start a family.
That's awesome. I wouldn't want to do it anywhere else.
All right, Bob, thank you so much for taking time to talk with me. All right, back to you guys in the studio.
So whether you're a buyer or a seller, it looks like Mann & Sons Realtors knows the neighborhood. If you want to know more about them, just go to delmarvalife.com. We've got a link for you there.
You ever look at a map and dream of the place in the world you most want to go? Maybe it feels too impossible. We're about to introduce you to a team in Rehoboth that will help you get there.
Accent on Travel has been enriching lives through just that, travel, for 30 years. This one spot in Rehoboth Beach might just be your ticket to the world.
Annette Nero-Stellhorn has visited more than 136 countries and territories and been on more than 98 cruise ships. That's a lot of bag packing, a lot of plane riding, and a lot of language learning. All of which beyond worth it.
I believe travel changes people, and people learn about other cultures. They're more understanding about other cultures, and the more you know about the world, the less you fear it.
In fact, she remembers when she started learning about the world. Her brother was working for the government as a nuclear physicist. He traveled all around the globe and sent postcards home.
Wherever he was, I would look up in the encyclopedia the country where he was and compare what each of the encyclopedias said about the country. And that's how I got really excited about travel.
And she's been sharing that excitement with all kinds of different people for 30 years. She's the president and owner of Accent on Travel, a full-service travel company that helps travelers experience the world in a way that best suits their personalities and desires.
People's eyes just get lit up and lit up and lit up. So once we see what they like, everywhere they go in the world, we recreate their favorite pastimes in that destination to make sure they tap in, and that's what we do.
Here's how it works. First, you call and make a reservation for a 1-hour consultation. It can be in person or on the phone. During that time, she or one of her other professionals will ask you all kinds of questions to get an idea of the kind of vacations you enjoy and the place or places you're looking to go.
The travel professional isn't here to increase the cost. We're here to increase the value and make sure you spend your dollars in the right arena, right? Because you can have $200 a night hotels and have great experiences, or you could have $200 a night hotels and they'd be under construction.
Curators of extraordinary vacations is what Annette calls herself and the other members of her team. They'll be with you through all of the planning stages of your trip. They'll make sure you have everything you need leading up to your departure, and they'll check in with you when you get back.
So it's always great to see people smile and say, "Oh my God, I would never go back to booking my own trips again," you know. And that's the common consensus with our clients.
They also host group travel events. In fact, she's got an upcoming trip to Canada to take a group to see polar bears. You might ask, for someone who's been all over the world, why settle in Rehoboth?
What I liked about Rehoboth was the international flair and the friendliness of the community. They were open to all types of people, all kinds of people. I know the history of Rehoboth. I'm very involved with the nonprofits here.
Here's something you might not expect. This wasn't the career Annette planned for. She had an environmental law degree when she got started in this biz back in 1989. Whether she chose this or this chose her, it's where she needed to go, and she loves it.
There's never a day I regret the path I chose.
Because that path has led to all of the other paths that stretch all over this map. The question for you, where does yours go?
Now, Annette understands you might have some fears about traveling, so she and her other professionals encourage you to bring every fear you have to the table at your consultation. That way you can be comfortable as possible whenever you take your trip.
It's so nice to have someone take on all of that so you don't have that additional stress.
Yes. We knew this was going to happen. You're loving this Rehoboth series so much you're wanting to move there now, aren't you? Maybe you just want to buy a summer home. Well, we're going to introduce you now to a team who can help you take that step. Jack Lingo Realtor has been in business since the early 70s.
A business whose heart beats by one word: family. The Lingo team is one you can trust based on generations of experience. Here's Delmarva Life's Katie Zurilli.
For 45 years and counting, Jack Lingo Realtor has been a family-owned and operated business, for better or for worse.
There's some good times and there's some tears at times. It's a challenge, but it's really nice that we know we have each other's support.
Bill Lingo's dad, Jack, a former squad commander in the United States military, started the business back in 1974. Carrie Lingo remembers visiting her late grandfather's office each day for a little treat.
I used to be able to ride my bike to school, I think starting in 2nd grade, to Rehoboth Elementary. And my favorite stop was coming home from school and stopping at the office, and my papa had a special drawer of candy for me that I would stop in daily.
But that wasn't her only taste of the business.
I've been groomed by talking real estate every night at family dinner.
But working for the family was never an expectation, she says. She had the freedom to make her own choices and explore her own talents first. And that she certainly did. Carrie found huge success as a field hockey player. She played on the U.S. national team for 12 years and had the support of her sweet hometown.
Our town is amazing and just embraced my career because, I mean, there's not a lot of people who really do follow field hockey, but our town certainly does, and I was so blessed to have that support.
And the town was right here waiting for her when she decided it was time to hang up the cleats.
But I really wanted to raise my family here and in an environment that I grew up in, which was so special.
And she knew the family's arms were wide open. That doesn't mean, though, that the transition was all easy.
I could not tell the days apart. I have been so structured for so long of Monday was this, Tuesday was da-da-da-da-da, Wednesday was da-da-da-da-da. Like, when I came back home, I was like, what day is it? Like, I get to make my own schedule? What is this? But again, the discipline from field hockey carried over. So in the grand scheme of things of making goals and setting goals, that came naturally.
Carrie's proud to be an associate broker with the company that's helped countless people buy, sell, and rent both residential and commercial real estate in Sussex County.
So you get to be a part of something that is really important to them, and whether it's a second home, their first beach house, their first home for their family, that emotional connection that you get helping someone purchase something that is a huge investment is really special.
Not to mention that every person brings with them a story for the Lingos to listen to and learn from.
And you have that influx of basically different cultures on the East Coast that come in and visit here and want to buy. So that interaction, it's always a new experience. It's a new personality. It's never boring. It's never boring. It can be very exciting and it can be very exciting.
And they want it to stay exciting for years to come. As the family grows, they hope the business will too, even more than it already has. Something they're sure of is that they'll always have the support of this seaside city.
And that's pretty much the way the community is with everybody. I mean, we're one big family.
Generations of experience continually cheered on by those around them.
And in case you were wondering, Carrie still finds ways to be involved with field hockey in the area. I like how she takes what she learned in field hockey and applies it to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. This right here is a nicoboli. Dough, pizza sauce, meat, and cheese made into a delicious warm sandwich, if you will. This was created in Rehoboth Beach and is now known all over. The place it all started, Nicola Pizza in downtown Rehoboth Beach.
This pizza place has an incredibly interesting story. It was actually started out of a house in 1970. Over the years, it's grown into what it is today. It's loved by locals. It's a must visit for out-of-towners. Here's Delmarva Life's Katie Zarelli.
For almost 50 years, residents of Rehoboth Beach and those who swing by in the summer have filled the booths at Nicola Pizza. The legacy restaurant started as a way for Nick and Joan Caggiano to pay for treatment for their daughter's spina bifida.
They had a lot of bills, a lot of things going on. They wanted to, they needed some extra money. So he actually started selling pizzas on Friday night in 1970 out of his house in Bay Vista.
His pizza making started to pay off, and soon after that, so did his wife's social skills. She found out this space was available, but where would they get the money for it? That's a question the family, to this day, can't answer.
Someone in this town in 1970 knew the situation with my sister, knew the situation with mom and dad, and signed a promissory note for this business to start.
That first summer, there were only 12 seats in the place. They got by on the bare minimum.
No money for paper plates, so they used to serve the pizza on napkins and aluminum foil. That's a true story.
They quickly became popular, and business really took off a few years later. That's when Nick Sr. invented his famous Nicoboli. The lifeguards who ate here on break were wanting something new.
And they said, Nick, why don't you make us, we're just tired of hamburgers, could you ever think about whipping something up, So he said, you know what, I'll try, So he got the dough, put the beef down, sauce down and cheese, did his little roll of it, and threw it in the oven, and 20 minutes later, 15 minutes later, it came out, and it was a hit ever since.
The Nicoboli is trademarked, and people come from all over to get their hands on one. You'll see pictures of some famous faces on the walls. They've even delivered Nicobolis to the White House, and they love first-timers.
There's a lot of the customers that come in for the first time that somebody has sent them in here, and they'd say, look, you got to go to Nicola Pizza and you got to get this Nicoboli. Don't even ask, just order the thing. I get that a lot, but I also get what is a Nicoboli.
All right, I gotta try the famous Nicoboli, and I have the creator right here. This is big.
You're talking to him right here, baby.
Nick Caggiano Sr., you said...
Absolutely.
You said don't go for the utensils, just pick it right up?
Oh, you pick it up raw, yeah. You just pick it up like
all right.
this.
Yeah, okay, here we go.
Nice and crunchy, That dough's nice and crunchy. That cheese is melted.
That is delicious.
I want to tell you. And that beef, it's perfect.
How many of these would you say you've eaten in your lifetime?
Just, I can't begin to tell you how many,
That's
because
right.
basically, oodles of them.
Oodles.
Not every day, but I would say almost every other day.
It is so good. I'm gonna go for another whole bite.
Absolutely.
I'm going for it,
I love it, yes.
Well done.
Oh, yeah.
Nicola Pizza opened their second location just up the avenue in 2010. Dining room on the bottom, upper deck sports bar on the top. The business that once had 12 seats now has a few hundred, and these seats fill fast. Just as time brings growth, it also brings loss. Joan died in 2017. One half of the heart that started this place is no longer here.
Joan was a huge loss, and everyone misses her daily. We still have some customers that will come in that haven't been here for years that didn't know that she had passed, and it's very difficult for us delivering the news sometimes to them. We have found ourselves oftentimes the son and niece consoling someone who just was a customer, but that's how much that she meant to them and to this community.
At 83 years old, Nick Sr. isn't as involved as he once was, but he cares as much as he always has. And his family members who are carrying it on share that same spirit.
I always say it's sort of like a marriage, you have to want to get married. You have to want to run a restaurant. It's just the way it is, Is it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Of course, everybody says it is. Of course, it can't be 24 hours, 7 days a week. But is it 22 and a half hours, 6.5 days a week? Yes.
Started for family, run by family, Nicola Pizza is a legendary member of the Rehoboth Beach family.
Delivered to the White House. Delivered to the White House. Oh my goodness. Nick says Nicola Pizza is also known for its longtime employees.
That's not hard to believe.
No, it's not. It's really not.